Gina, you said that this breathing problem, whenever you get really nervous, is one of the things that troubles you the most. And I think you're right, that it sounds like whenever you get into one of your anxiety attacks, you get into a pattern of breathing that I suspect maybe makes things harder for you.
Right.
And you told me about that one time when you actually had a fainting spell whenever you started breathing real fast.
Yeah.
So it'd be okay to try to see if we could learn some things that would help you manage your breathing whenever
Sure.
you're going into one of these panic attacks?
Sure.
Great. Actually, there's been a fair amount of research done now that shows that if people can learn how to breathe in a certain way that calms them and settles them down, that actually that technique alone can be one of the very top things that you can do to get control over anxiety.
That sounds good.
Right? So let's just spend a little time talking about breathing.
Okay.
Now, do you have a sense of how often people breathe when they're, how many breaths people take a minute whenever they're calm and resting and not particularly nervous?
I guess if I'm not nervous, I don't think about my breathing, so
Right.
no.
Well, I'm just trying to get an idea if you would know what normal breathing rates would be.
I don't know, 20 or 30 times a
20 or
minute.
30? Yeah. Some people say 50, 60, 70. I've heard as high as that.
That sounds fast.
Does it? Okay. Actually, the correct number is about 15 or 16 breaths a minute.
Okay.
So if you had a watch and you were timing these things, it would be maybe about 1 every 4 seconds. That's both in and out. And when people get into an anxiety attack, how fast do you think they breathe typically?
Pretty quick.
Pretty quick. So
like,
quicker than...
like a dog panting.
Really? Is that the way you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whenever you're going to a panic attack, you're breathing faster. And what else do you think changes when you're in a panic attack?
Well, I've noticed I start out kind of shallow, and then I feel like I don't get enough air, and so then it gets deeper and deeper, and doesn't help, though. I
Yeah.
just feel like I can't get enough air.
Any chance you could sort of throw yourself into one of these things now? Like,
I can try.
show me what a panic attack would be like and show me what you might breathe like when you get into one of these?
Like when I go in the cafeteria and there's
Right.
a crowd, I start out fast, kind of like that, and then it gets deeper.
Okay, like what? Oh, real deep then.
Yeah, just scared, real
Okay.
scared.
And then what's happening is you're getting this tunnel vision thing like that you have.
Things kind of get dark,
Okay,
and
what
my
do you-
hands get
what are you
real
breathing
sweaty.
like then? Okay, so then it's deep and fast, and it sounds like it even makes more noise. I'm
Yeah, it
hearing
is
go-
noisier.
Yeah,
So
I'm
people
hearing it go
probably
through-
look at me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what happens. Sure.
Yeah.
Now I want you to just look at me for a second.
Okay.
And I think I'm pretty calm right now, at least I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
And I wonder what my breathing looks like.
I can't hardly tell you're breathing at all.
And how fast do you think I'm breathing?
I guess if I counted it, maybe 12 or 15 times a minute every
Okay.
few seconds.
And what's happening to my chest as I'm breathing?
It's not moving a lot.
And how about my mouth?
It's
Am
closed.
I gasping for air? Or
No,
breathing faster, making a lot of noise when I breathe?
no, not like
Okay.
I was.
All right. So this is the way people breathe when they're feeling calm. And I suspect it's how you breathe when you're feeling calm. In fact, I've seen you, and that's pretty much how you breathe when you're
True.
feeling calm.
True.
So really, the trick here is simply figuring out a way to change your breathing pattern from what you were showing me when you were into your panic attack and what it's like when you're breathing normally. Now, I've often had people that come to me that have been in therapy and have had instruction and so forth, and I ask them about breathing training. They say, oh, yeah, I've had breathing training. You know, another therapist taught me what to do. And I said, well, what are you supposed to do? And they say, well, you just take a lot of deep breaths. And maybe that's okay in the beginning of trying to get handle over a panic attack, but if you keep doing that, you're going to end up maybe even breathing just like you were breathing. So I'll show you sort of what I think a panic attack looks like and see if you think it makes sense of the way you see it.
Okay.
So somebody's feeling pretty calm and then all of a sudden a panic attack comes over them. So here's what they look like. Is that sort of like the way you
That
feel?
looks how I
it's
feel.
interesting, whenever I do that, I sort of get dizzy in my head, and I feel like my vision changes, and I feel like I get tingly. Because what's happening to your physiology, that's in your body, is that you are actually blowing off too much carbon dioxide. You're breathing so fast that, you know, when we breathe in, we're getting in oxygen, and we breathe out, we're breathing out carbon dioxide.
Right.
And you're breathing out too much carbon dioxide. And you feel like you're trying to get your breath, but actually what you're doing is you're making things worse. So what we need to do is to figure out a way to stop that.
Okay.
And one of the favorite things that I've found that helped a lot of people is simply to recognize when you're into one of those breathing patterns, when you're feeling a panic attack, to spot it that you're breathing faster and more deeply than normal. And then if you have a watch with a second hand, do you have one of those, by the way? Okay. You can just take a look at your watch and then try to slow your breathing down to this one cycle in and out in 4 seconds. And it might take you a little while to do that. And at the beginning, you need to take just a nice, calm, deep breath or two to kick it in. You can do that. So I'm going to now simulate it again. I'll show you going into a panic attack, and then I'm going to show you how I would try to break the panic attack by looking at my watch and then slowing my breathing. And then the last thing I suggest doing is trying to bring into your mind a very calming image. Try to take yourself to a place when you're free of anxiety, some place that's really soothing and comforting and where you don't have a worry in the world.
Okay.
Now, do you have any place like that you can take yourself in your mind? Okay, where would that be?
To the park and feeding the ducks, and that's
that's
kind
a
of
good
a
image for
quiet,
you?
nice time.
Okay, can you block out all your fears and anxieties then and just concentrate on that image?
I can try.
Yeah, some people will find, going to the beach or thinking of where they went on a nice vacation or, being in the mountains or where each person has to find their own image. Okay, so I'm going to go into my own images, which is going to the beach because I really love the beach.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm going to show you how I would do this. Okay, so I'm having a good time at the beach right now. I mean, I'm able to use my imagery. It's almost like a daydream, but you're allowed to do this. In fact, it's good for you to do this because it blocks out all these fearful thoughts and images that you're having in your mind. So do you think that you could practice that some and see if you could become an expert at doing that?
I'll try.
Okay, that's great.